Alright folks, so I made a video recently called We Need Evil to Have Free Will. Now, it was sort of just like a wordplay there because the word evil doesn't, it's just like a man-made word, sort of like good and bad, evil, nice. But it was really, the main idea of the video was really, it wasn't supposed to be that necessarily thought-provoking. It was just this idea, this simple idea of how it's funny how we look in the outside world and we see things we don't like and we wish it didn't exist. All the bad stuff, all the stuff that annoys us. But the irony behind that is you need all of it to exist to have any sort of free will. You need to be able to have ultimate freedom of choices. Right? Because without that, then you don't really have any free will. So it was really just mostly about that. So it was really not. But this video is more on the idea of actual free will. So it's not this wordplay with evil and good and bad and the irony of how we need both. Because that's sort of obvious and not that interesting, really. But what is interesting is the idea of actual free will. It's been debated about, I guess since people can think about it. Who the hell knows when? I wonder when the first time someone pondered the idea if they actually have free will. Who knows? Doesn't matter. So, this idea of free will. To me, it's actually a pretty simple debate. You're probably wondering, oh, Tony, aren't you special? You somehow managed to take something that everyone debates and you think it's just really simple, obvious answer. Yeah, kinda, it is, for me anyways. Now, let me explain why it's kind of an obvious answer for me. So you have physical worlds, right, that really work on momentum and the idea of movement, and you have this idea of the reason people debate free will from a physical standpoint is because in physicality, it's very easy to predict the next moment coming, the next millisecond coming, the next, because it's based on momentum and it's easy to predict. So if you can predict the next second coming up, then you should be able to predict the next second after that because it all started from one initial metaphorical big bang, whatever you want to call it, and that's based on some sort of momentum. So that's the idea of why we don't have free will. It's because like a domino effect, like you line up all these domino pieces and you push the first one and it's kind of easy to see the flow. It's very predictable. That's the idea, and that's where the debate comes from. Because all physical worlds, the way we understand them, are built on some sort of initial momentum, whether it's a big bang or something, right? Now, for me, the way I see free will is the only way we can possibly have free will is if there's a part of our awareness outside of momentum. So, what do I mean by that? Well, there has to be a part of our awareness and a part of existence that has no cause and effect. It just is. So you think, oh, that's interesting. That's kind of like the way when you talk about this idea of existence, because I always talk about this idea of how existence is truly the only thing that's completely irrational, nonsensical, because it has no cause. It just is. It's not based on momentum. It's not based on movement. It's not based on an explosion. It just is because... And so it's absolute nonsense because everything works with cause and effect. The idea of something just is... It's never going to make rational sense or scientific sense because that's not a calculation you can make. Well, it just is. But somehow, existence is here. You exist. That's about the only thing you really know, that you exist, right? Because we have a lot of things in science that we like to call proof. That's another strange topic that I'll make a video on someday. There's no such thing as proof. The only thing you know is that you exist. Ultimate proof in anything doesn't really exist. I know it sounds cozy when you hear scientific proofs because they seem like stable and cozy and safe, but they're not. They're really not. There's no such thing as ultimate proof in anything, really. It's just science gives you the best educated guess with the science we understand today. What we call proof today in 100 years could be completely different. But that's a whole other topic. So back to free will. So the only way I think that we can possibly have free will is to have a part of our awareness exist in a reality that's not based on any sort of movement or momentum. Sort of like the baseline point of existence, the point that has no cause. Because that's really the only point where you can come with this idea of free will. Because if you come from a point of no cause and effect, of something that just simply is, there's no initial starting point of momentum, like a big bang. Like I said, when you have movement and you see something like a domino effect, it's very easy to predict the next second ahead. So if you can predict the next second, you can just keep going and going and going. Now there is debates over that. Oh, it's not that stable, quantum fluctuations and quantum uncertainty and randomness. You can get into that. So that's why the idea of like physical debates over free will in a physical world is always that's why people debate it. That's why I said it's simple from my point of view. If you take the next level up and say, if you have a level of awareness residing in a place that's not based on cause and effect, momentum and movement, just a causeless place. Now, if you have a part of your awareness in this causeless state, looking down at the physical world and being able to maneuver it by your choice, I think that's the only way you can have free will without any debate. Because being locked inside of a physical world with movement, like movement, momentum, different things going on, it's just that free will debate's always just going to be argued back and forth, you know? One side will be like, well, no, it's just obviously it's a predictable flow of motion. It's easy to calculate it. There is no free will. And somebody else might be like, well, no, there's uncertainty. It's not quite like that. But either way, this idea of having a part of your awareness in an existence that's completely causeless, no momentum. And if you have your awareness there and you're sort of looking down in the physical world and you're almost like controlling your physical body from that other perspective, then you can actually have free will, right? I think that's legitimately the only way you can have undeniable free will. You know, so that's really all it is. It's about this idea of having a part of your awareness existing in a place that's completely causeless, a place that just is, that initial starting point of existence, whatever that is. I know it's nonsensical, it's rational, but it's happening, you know? So, because even in the physical world, there's many debates how physicality works, because there's some people who believe that there's a constant motion in physicality. But some people believe that physical existence is actually completely static, like on a DVD or a CD. You know, like I know that DVDs are not very popular anymore, but Blu-rays, the idea of having a movie, it's a 2-hour movie in this plastic disc. Everything that is inside that movie. So everything is static. So this idea, as a theory, is that all physical universes are just static. And this idea of the way we feel time, the motion of time, and how we have this idea of movement and choices, is that our awareness resides in this place that has no cause, that just is place, right? So if your awareness exists in that dimension of no cause, a place that just always is, and you're looking at these static, unmovable universes, what you're doing is you're moving around and you're just playing sequences that you'd like to experience. So ultimately, all you're ever really doing is you're just this awareness in this place of just is, this place that has no cause. And what you're doing is you're just sort of scanning these static universes and you're moving from moment to moment, and you have this perception of time and movement and choices. Right? But what if you realize all you really are is just an awareness, a causeless awareness. And every decision that you can possibly make has been made. They all exist, and all you're doing is you're just going from one to another just to experience them, right? That's all you're ever really doing, because they're all just static. They're all motionless. It's just every probability, every motion you could have taken is just there. And this causeless awareness that you are makes choices of what to experience. See, it's funny because if we realize that that's what we were, so much weight would be taken off of our choices we make and stuff, you know. I make a lot of videos on this concept because we live in such a state of fear. I find that because we put so much weight on everything and the choices we make, and if we had the understanding and the concept that we're just basically an awareness, having an experience, and ultimately that's all that's going on. There is no ultimate end game. There's no winning. You don't come in last place. No one's coming in first place. It's not a race to anything. You just simply exist. You're an awareness, having an experience, and you're just playing around and seeing which part of that DVD or which part of that Blu-ray you want to experience today. And that's all you're doing. And I really truly think the only way you can really have that ultimate free will is that if our awareness resides in that place of nonsense. What place of nonsense? The place of causelessness, the place that just is, the place that will never make rational or scientific sense because it just is. There's no mathematical equation that could make sense of it. It just is. And I think if we live in that place and our awareness is in that place, that is truly the only way we can have free will. And yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts on that. So it's weird when you really think about it that way. The mystery of free will kind of goes away. It's only when you get trapped inside of the physical worlds and you debate that's very debatable and iffy. But if you ponder this idea of having your awareness in a place of causelessness, then it makes perfect sense why free will is something you can easily have. And that's it. So hope you're all having a great day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.